Don't forget, what we did should have been done 47 years ago. It could have been done any time within 40. This has gone on for, they were the bully of the Middle East. So they're a much different country. Now, in one day, all of their anti-aircraft things are gone. That doesn't mean they're not going to get a plane at some point. But all of it's gone. Everything's gone. Their leaders are gone. They had leaders, they're gone. And they had another set of leaders, they're gone. Now they have another set of leaders, they may be gone. Who knows? And you know what? I may be gone too, because I'm their number one target. I think more than anything else is I got to know them. And I'm not sure I want to make a deal with them. We can play games, but I'm not sure I want to make a deal. I just finished the job.
We have another update today that will test all of us in many ways. The comms are off the charts on what may have occurred with our president's journey out of Turkey and use of another aircraft. He was on fire with the reporters once again, stood his ground, showing we have the power. We have Iran comms, Greenland, elections, UK immigration issues on the Joe Rogan show, and so much more to cover. 513,000 followers on Rumble, our go-to for free speech. We appreciate you guys following and hitting that like button there. It moves us to number 2 next to Dan Bongino, and we really appreciate all of your support there. Our video from yesterday, Seth Rich, Turkey, fraud arrest, and more. Again, we reached number 2. You guys are absolutely brilliant in helping us out. Want to remind you of this.
Our new And We Know bracelets connect you with scripture with just the tap of your phone. Simply tap your phone to the bracelet, click the pop-up, and there's a new verse every time. If you're feeling anxious, need to pray, or just want to see what God has for you in the moment, you can tap for a verse and pray over that situation. Now available online.
Amazing. Speaking of prayer, you guys know we can go to andweknow.com and you get those bracelets, and we're lifting up that voice that you hear, Emily. She's having her child, and we're just going to continue to pray for her. And we thank you for your support of her on also her Instagram channel. Pretty amazing. You guys have supported her in that way. So check this out.
Over the course of the past 2 days, I had a number of excellent discussions with other leaders at the summit and held productive bilateral meetings with essentially all of them. We had dinner last night, just about all of them were there. President Erdogan of Turkey, as well as President Zelensky, and he just came in, as you probably saw, at a little press conference, and also President al-Shara of Syria, who's doing an unbelievable job in unifying Syria. What a job he's doing. Syria was a mess with what happened with the previous government, you know that? Very dangerous place, and now it's just come together. He's done a fantastic job. People are talking about it. In every conversation, it was clear that America is back, and we're stronger and bigger and better than ever before. We have more jobs, as I said, than ever before. And we're respected again like maybe never before. We are so respected as a country.
America's back, and we're respected, except the New York Times. They can't handle this stuff. So they have to try to, in the middle of the NATO deal and conference, he has to stand up and has to say this.
Mr. President, Tyler Pager with the New York Times.
New York Times.
Last month you said Iranian leaders were very rational people, nice people to deal with, strong people, smart people. Today you said they were scum, sick people, and being led by sick people. What changed, and do you think...
I got to know them. So
you said I got to know them. That's all.
I've said that about a lot. Now, when you say rational, I think they're much more rational than level 1, level 2. Level 1 is gone, level 2 is gone. This is level 3. I think they are more rational, but based on their actions over the last week or two, they're not doing a service to the people. And I think more than anything else is I got to know him. And I'm not sure I want to make a deal with him. We can play games, but I'm not sure I want to make a deal. Let's just finish the job.
Yeah, finish the job. And he's blowing them to smithereens again, those sick folks. Before I get to that, I just want to break with this New York Times thing. President Trump, breaking news, very fair and highly respected judge in the Middle District of Florida just denied the failing New York Times desperate attempt, together with other defendants we are suing, to move our powerhouse defamation lawsuit against them to another jurisdiction. We will now have an oral argument in Florida where our lawyers will present in great detail all the ways in which the Times publishes, promotes, and deals in fake news. Thank you for your attention to this matter. All right, just a quick little break there for New York Times. And you can see that screenshot, President Trump posting, "This is in retribution for yesterday's bombing of ships by Iran. If it happens again, it will get much worse." And he is blowing them to smithereens again.
Venezuela has been lauded as a military success, and yet the Iran war seems to be a strategic dead end for you. Why are you apparently unable to end the Iran war?
So, of course, another paid off, sick old guard reporter who can't handle anything that goes on positive for our world and for the freedom of the Iranian people and so much more. So he gets paid to stand up and try to ensure that fake news again claim that President Trump has failed in Iran.
So I think we're doing just the opposite. The Iran war has been a tremendous military success. And, you know, I can only answer the question by saying they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. I think I was there for one reason, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I call it, we denuclearized Iran, and that's happened. They will never have a nuclear weapon. That stuff is so far down under a mountain. It's a granite mountain that collapsed on top of it. Take months to get it out. I think it's a tremendous success, Iran. And you see the oil prices are lower than they were when I started. And people like to say that, but look, they have no military left. Their Air Force is gone. As I said, their ships are gone. 159 ships are gone. They're at the bottom of the sea. Their radar's gone. Everything's gone. So when you say not a success, it's a tremendous success. The fake news likes to say how well they're doing. They're doing terribly. They have 350% inflation. When the war started, they had like 6%, 5%. They want to make a deal, but they don't know how to make a deal. And then they go around shooting ships at night. I don't like that. You know, they're dealing with very fine people. They're dealing with Steve Witkoff, and they're dealing with Jared Kushner and J.D. Vance, and they're dealing with Marco and Scott. They're dealing with great people, but I don't know. I think they're a little loco. They're a little crazy. But they told us they'd like to go to the funeral of a person who killed a lot of people. Khomeini killed a lot of people over the years. And there for a long time. Don't forget, what we did should have been done 47 years ago. It could have been done any time within 40. This has gone on for, they were the bully of the Middle East. So they're a much different country. Now, in one day, all of their anti-aircraft things are gone. That doesn't mean they're not going to get a plane at some point. But all of it's gone. Everything's gone. Their leaders are gone. They had leaders, they're gone. And they had another set of leaders, they're gone. Now they have another set of leaders, they may be gone. Who knows? And you know what? I may be gone too, because I'm their number one target. It's out all over the place. I'm their number one because they're scum. That's the way they act. And that's the way they've done it for 47 years. But I'm doing what's right for the country. I'm doing really what's right for the world. They have to be stopped. And they've killed thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. They killed 52,000 protesters over the last 3 months. So when you say we're not doing well, I think we're doing phenomenally well. Our military has been incredible. Plus, we had a blockade. Did we have a blockade? Did you ever see a blockade work that way? You know, for you that said we're not doing well there, we did great in Venezuela. That was a one-day war, and they're very good military. You know, it's a very military country. We took out one of the worst human beings in the world, Maduro, and he's in jail waiting for trial. But what he did to this country was incredible, including the fact, not only the drugs, but he had people pour into the country from prisons. They opened up their prisons. They allowed them to come in. We're getting them out. We're getting them all out. But we have, with the Biden open border policy, with Kamala as your border czar. Remember, she was a border czar, but she never called Border Patrol, never once, and she never went to the border. The border was a disaster. Now it's fixed. It's fixed where we have nobody, and I don't do these numbers. 0 people come in through our border, through our southern border. 0. And that's been announced now every month for the last 12 months, 0. We had millions of people come in, under 25 million people, I think more than that under Biden. And they weren't people that you want. And for the most part, they were drug dealers. They were escaped from, think of it, all the prisons. And I'm not just talking about from South America. I'm talking about from the Congo. I'm talking about from all over the world. The prisons were emptied out. They were emptied out into our country. But they had the worst murderers. We had people allowed in our country that should never, and they walked in to an open border policy. And all I'm saying is that you're lucky we won this election. Yeah, please.
You're very, very blessed that we won that election. She would have won. Of course, Q said they had a plan to ensure that she was stopped, even if they figured a way to get into the Oval Office. But still, if she would have won, guys, we'd have been involved in so many wars. Our children, our grandchildren would have been sent off. And things would not be the way they are today. And so the one enemy that we have to deal with over and over again, the big enemy, is the mainstream media. All they try to do is try to figure out to put things into the minds of many people that there's something wrong with President Trump when he's doing all he can with his the military backing to take them down. Speaking of military, no distractions, only lethality, locked in, stay locked in, Patriots. That's from Department of War CTO. And of course, the Department of War also said they're ushering in the next frontier of quantum innovation. Our warfighters will maintain absolute information dominance across all domains of warfare. And as that plays out, Iran made the move and Trump changed the game. Art of the deal fused with game theory under fire. Okay, observing consciousness, letting us know the art of the deal. Iran struck first, then Trump hit them hard while standing in Turkey, with NATO watching, with the Middle East watching, with the whole world watching. Then Iran called wanting the deal back. That tells you the pressure, landed. Trump knows the first call is only information. The real move is making Iran prove whether they want peace or simply want relief from the consequences of their own escalation. That is it's going up, the ante's going up, and leverage is doing its job. Iran made the move, Trump changed the game, and check this out.
And when they hit, we hit back much harder.
Are we returning to a full-scale military conflict, sir?
I don't know. I don't know. We'd win it very quickly. It's another way of doing it. We have many ways we can win, but we've already won militarily. They have very little left, and they want to make a deal so badly. They called a little while ago, they want to make a deal so badly. I just don't know if they're worthy of making a deal. I don't know that they're going to honor the deal. That's the problem.
If they want to make a deal, why do you think they attacked commercial vessels?
Because it's sort of crazy, to be honest with you. They're sort of crazy.
Why do they want to take out those commercial vehicles? Well, it's because they're crazy. Oh, speaking of crazy, NATO, well, they had a wake-up call in a big way, and I'm going to show you Germany's Chancellor Merz, what he admits about President Trump and his leadership. And we're going to get into a lot more on Greenland and comms regarding President Trump changing planes heading out of Turkey. Stick around. Folks, I'm feeling so much better now that I've visited Chad and Katie Brewer, and they gave me their Fortify 365 NAD+, a coenzyme found in every cell of your body. I'm telling you, sharper, stronger, I'm more energized. It fuels my brain function. I can tell it boosts the energy, supports metabolism, helps my cells repair and regenerate. And I was just overwhelmed when I took this stuff. As we age and we face stress and illness, or addiction, NAD drops those levels, leaving us tired and foggy. Well, glutathione is the body's master antioxidant, so it's combined NAD plus glutathione. It detoxifies the liver and as a result supports the immune system and reduces inflammation and oxidative stress. So together, NAD Plus and glutathione are powerful anti-aging combo. You can actually get this in the description box below. Click on the link in the description box, 45365.com/AUG.
Kann ich da abschließend nichts dazu sagen, aber diese Gespräche werden geführt.
So, Germany's Chancellor Merz. Trump often applies pressure through a very forceful approach. The last American presidents politely asked us, please finally do a little more for your own defense. But across Europe, those requests largely fell on deaf ears. Now there's an American president who says rather bluntly, enough is enough. So these talks are taking place. We've known since Trump won that he very often also builds up pressure with a massive appearance. And I want to say it again from a constructive point of view. The last American presidents who kindly asked us to finally do a little more for our own defense have fallen on deaf ears everywhere in Europe. And now two events are occurring simultaneously, the war in Ukraine and this American president who sometimes says unkindly that enough is enough. And I can't blame him for that. If you just look at the figures that the Americans spend on NATO and what we spend on NATO, a ratio of 80 to 100. 80% America, 20% Europe. The rest of NATO is unacceptable. It was always unacceptable, and now in some time less friendly way, an American president tells us. They always say, he says it in an unfriendly way. Well, how do you think we're going to get the ball to move if he doesn't talk to you with a little authority? You know, little children over there, the ones that are bringing in all of the immigrants and destroying their country. Correspondent Iris Tao, NTD News, asks a brilliant question, President Trump in front of the world.
Thank you, Mr. President, for doing this. Iris Tao with NTD, with a sister media with the Epoch Times.
Okay.
On communism, you've been issuing a wake-up call to Americans at home about the dangers of communism. And now you're speaking on the world stage. What's your message to people both living under communist and socialist regimes, but also people living under democracies like in Europe and America who might not have realized how close communism has come to home?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. But look, I want to get the word out because what's forming is communism in the country. And communism's easy to sell. I would be the greatest communist in history. I'd be right up there with Lenin. I'd be as good as anybody. You've got free rent for the rest of your life. What they don't say is that you'll be living in squalor in 12 months. You've got a free house. Would anybody like to have a free house? We'll take it away from somebody. We'll give it to you. You'll have murders all over the place. Communism's a disaster. It's been proven to be for thousands of years under different names, but same thing. It's very important. And, you know, it's funny. One of the reasons I do so well with Hispanic people, I set a record, Republicans. I get great numbers for the election, helped me get elected in a landslide, the Hispanics, because a lot of them came from countries that were essentially communist. You know, whether you call them radical socialist or communist is not that much, but there's a little difference. When they say social democrats, we're social democrats, it sounds so nice. It's not nice, it's a very dangerous term. So I do talk about it, and I talk about it on TikTok, and I talk about it everywhere. I talk about it here. And you're right, it has become international, but it's never worked, and it's not going to work. What is working is the United States. So think of it, we have more jobs than we've ever had. People are making more money than they've ever made. I'm talking about workers now. I'm talking about workers. They're making higher salaries than they've ever made before. It's just the best system, and it's got flaws, but everything's going to have a little flaw, but it's been amazing. And when I watch what's happening and I see these lowlifes getting, I mean, they're lowlifes. I watch them. I know good people. I know quality people. These are essentially lowlifes. And when I see what they're talking, I think they're very dangerous in many ways. And I've said it. And then I said, boy, that's a pretty big statement. Then I realized, you know, a couple of people said, I think you're probably right. I think this country with this thing that's going around is in more danger than it was during World War I, World War II. If you talk about September 11th, if you talk about Pearl Harbor, that was big danger. I think the concept of us going communist, because one thing that happens when you go communist, you never come back.
Never come back. You know, President Trump posted this yesterday or the other day with Marco Rubio talking about it while he was driving.
The bottom line is that unless the Democratic establishment steals it from him, Bernie Sanders, a Democratic socialist, is going to be the Democratic nominee for president. And that's a really big deal because Democratic socialism sounds benign, but at the core of Democratic socialism is Marxism. And at the core of Marxism is this fake offer that if you turn over more of your individual freedom, we're going to provide you security. We're going to provide you free healthcare. We're going to provide you free education. But the problem is that when they can't deliver on it or when you're not happy with it, you don't get your freedoms back. And by freedoms, I don't just mean elections. I'm talking about the right to choose your own doctor, the right to make healthcare decisions for yourself, what your kids learn in school, what schools they go to. All that stuff you lose control over, and you don't get it back just because the security they promised you didn't happen. So that's what we're on the verge of having to decide here in this country. It's the reason why people flee countries that have this stuff. It's a big deal for America, and I hope people start waking up to that reality.
Be nice if they'd wake up to all of it. And wanted to show you something real quick on President Trump. Notice what he says here.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Steve Sedgwick from CNBC. The oil markets are up today around about 7% for WTI and Brent as well. The world is taking you at your word, sir, that the MOU is over, that the ceasefire is over. What happens next, sir? Are we on the cusp of a full-scale return to full conflict?
I'll tell you what happens next. We're never going to see Iran have a nuclear weapon.
I love he has to remind them over and over. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon. You guys hear me? They had this giant weapon. They were going to use it to destroy all these countries, including countries in Europe, and they're not going to have it.
Because that's much more important than the numbers you're talking about. The prices of oil are dropping like a rock. Now they'll be up a little bit, and this will end very quickly. We have an oil glut right now because we got all those boats out of the strait, and it's going to drop, and I've predicted everything. I've been right about everything, and I have been for a long time. That's how I got to be president 3 times.
Did you hear that? Play it again.
I've been right about everything, and I have been for a long time. That's how I got to be president 3 times.
You guys need to hear that again? No, let's continue.
That's how I won 3 elections. I did very well in the second one, won it. It was a rigged election. But I've been right, and oil's coming down. Now, I have to make sure of one thing, that we don't have lunatics having control over nuclear weapons. So we have that now. There's no way they have a nuclear weapon. We have cameras, as an example, on the site that does beautiful B-2s at 1 o'clock in the morning 10 months ago, blew up. They blew it up. We have cameras, that's called Space Force. They're in space.
Pretty amazing that he brings that up over and over again. You know, some of the other things that he threw out there, Trump playing hardball on Greenland. Yeah. President Trump dropped a bombshell, pulling more U.S. troops out of Europe. That decision hinges on getting a strong deal for Greenland. Reporter, are you going to pull more troops out of Europe? Trump said, I haven't made that final decision. A lot's going to depend on Greenland. I'm going to make a very good deal on Greenland, and if we don't, maybe I will. America first means leverage. This is Gunnar Engelman saying Greenland is strategic. We cannot let Russia or China get anywhere near it. Trump knows exactly what he's doing. Smart negotiator. Protect our interests. No more free rides for Europe while we subsidize their defense. Play hardball, Trump. Go get them. Well, of course, with all this talk, many strange happenings around President Trump. Kimberly Auer was all over this and posting all types of comms and just strange things where President Trump was switching aircraft.
Go ahead.
Hey, Sean McCreesh, New York Times. But why aren't you flying the new plane home?
Say what?
Why aren't you flying on the new Air Force One home?
It's flying to Europe to one.
Yeah, why aren't you flying the new Qatari plane back, the brand new one, the beautiful one? Strange.
The big bases, 2 or 3 of the big bases where we can show it to the people, and we'll be going home by normal methods.
We're going home by normal methods. Now let's pause here for a second. And Kimberly was able to find this on the Q board. Q35 actually says, it is our hope that this message reaches enough people to make a meaningful impact. We cannot yet telegraph this message through normal methods. for reasons I'm sure everyone here can understand. Follow the questions from the previous threads and remain calm. The primary targets are within D.C. and remain at the top on both sides. Huh. Another thing is President Trump had the old Air Force One posted by Dan Scavino that they were departing the NATO summit in Ankara, Turkey. He said President Trump is wheels up. That's from Dan Scavino. Departing Ankara, Turkey on the old Air Force One. Wheels up. Well, if you go to Q3414, it says only Anons can fully appreciate the continued validation confirmations through covert means in order to maintain structural integrity. Wheels up. See, there's different ways of communicating and kind of letting folks know why they're having to switch planes. Maybe we're just speculating, but it seems like comms are going out to let us know there must have been something strange going on.
But we have it going to Europe to a couple of bases, actually one in particular, but it's going to go to a couple of bases stop so the soldiers can see it because it's truly magnificent.
So, yeah, we're just going to send it to a couple of bases and let the soldier, all the troops look at it. Huh. So, President Trump said we just landed, met up with our new Air Force One, which was sent earlier to RAF Mildenhall so we could show the wonderful service members as per the entire base's request. They were very excited. Picture enclosed. It was on our way back to the States from Turkey with virtually no deviation of flight path. Interesting choice of words, because if you look at Q Drop 1869, it says outside of standard deviation. Think aircraft. And in that, at the very beginning of this Q Drop, it says, what is the mathematical probability that a rogue missile launched at or near the runaway plane? Was he a trained pilot? How fast did the intercept occur? Think missile intercept. Think aircraft. Outside of standard deviation. Now, one of the reporters on the aircraft asks a brilliant question. You ready?
Security concern that caused us to change planes.
Were you aware of any credible threat by Iran against Air Force One?
We sent this one in so that the Air Force Base here was in the same exact line. So you saw, did you see the picture?
We did.
Hundreds of pictures, hundreds of people. Let me see that. Oh, yeah. You can't see it too well, but there are hundreds of people out there. So they wanted to see, so they came a little bit early and we switched planes.
So you're saying there wasn't a security concern?
No. Why would
there any other issue? No issue?
No, except we sent it a little early. Same line going back. We sent it a little bit early so that we could let them see it. The whole base came out and saw the plane, and then we landed.
Do you know why they had us close our window blinds? That was not usual.
Why did they have us close our window blinds? Reporters are like, is there a threat against Air Force One?
Yeah, because you're probably on a dangerous flight because of the sleazebags that we have to deal with.
So you think that Iran was possibly thinking, trying
Well, I mean, if they asked you to close your windows, probably they feel that way. They didn't ask me to close mine, but if they did, I would have done it. No, these are sick people. So I could see something like that. I didn't.
He said I could see something like that if Iran wants to take out Air Force One.
No, they did that, but I could see something like that.
Were you aware of any credible threat by Iran against Air Force
Well, I have
One?
a threat all the time. I'm number one on their list before you. But if I go, you go. Right?
But was there a specific threat today?
Perhaps someday you want to change professions.
What was the
Is there any threat? I have a threat all the time, says President Trump. I'm number one on their list before you. But if I go, you go, right? We're on the same aircraft. So perhaps some of you want to change professions. Oh, the fake news media. Anyway, here's a video where President Trump actually switched planes in the UK on his return to Washington after the NATO summit. He disembarked the older Air Force One and boarding the newer Boeing 747 gifted by Qatar and refurbished for presidential use. And Trump said he initially flew the old Air Force One so he could stop at RAF Mildenhall. So we saw that. And so anyway, he switches out. He walks on over to the other aircraft. He gets on board and off they go. Makes you just wonder, with all the strange comms, was there a threat? And was this older aircraft fully equipped to go against that threat, whatever that may be? Anyway, just thought you guys would understand a little bit more on how this plays out.
Stephen Nelson from the New York Post. I'd like you to address speculation that you're leaving Ankara not in the new Air Force One because of security concerns involving Iran. You've spoken today twice about them possibly assassinating you and possibly being successful. Did that concern have something to do with it?
Well, I speak about it a lot because, you know, the life of a president is very dangerous. It's 5.2%. You know what a race car driver is? 0.1%. A bull rider, that looks pretty dangerous to me. It's 0.1%. No, it's 5.2% is you don't make it. You should have told me. You're an excellent reporter. You should have told me that years ago. Maybe I wouldn't have run.
Oh, my goodness.
Dangerous profession. No, I'm number one on the kill list for Iran. They're lovely people. I'm number one. So I don't know. I can't tell you that, but I don't really care because I'm doing my job and I'm doing it, I hope, better than anybody's ever done it, because we have a country that's hot and really, really successful. But I mention it only because it's on the list. I mean, it came out. There was another list came out yesterday, and I'm number one on, I like being number one on TikTok better.
That in the midst of being number one on a kill list, he still has jokes. I'm number one on TikTok. That's why you got to lead. You got to lead firm and also still have a sense of humor. Keep everybody relaxed just a little bit. Tell you what, with all that we have to cover, I mean, we got more to go with the FBI, the fraud that's being uncovered across our nation and the world, and so much more. First, I thought we'd have a cup of coffee and enjoy Hunter's Blend with Mike. You know, they are exploding things again.
Well, July 4th, 1776, our fathers brought forth a new nation, conceived in liberty, and 250 years later, we're still going strong, and the best is yet to come. So in celebration of America's 250 years of freedom, we're doing a limited release of our Liberty Roast. Now, this is a Brazilian blend, high scoring, roasted to a nice medium level, full of flavors like, you know what, I just say absolutely bursting with flavor, a lot like the bombs in the air. So here's to you, America, and from sea to shining sea, may God continue to bless you and long live life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And you know what? We thought we'd be remiss if we didn't leave you with our own rocket's red glare. Who am I kidding? Welcome to the Great Awakening. Got me.
So they still have that $2.50 discount through July 12th, folks, at Hunter's Blend
And for
Coffee.
the introductory July 4th weekend, with the purchase of any other coffee product, you can get $2.50 off every bag of Liberty Roast using code Liberty250 because, well, that's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be. Hunter's Blend Coffee started with a simple belief: what you drink should reflect what you stand for. That's why they buy the top 6% of specialty coffee beans, roast with precision in small batches, and ship locally roasted coffee fresh to your door. Folks, I encourage you, go to the description box below and get that discount today.
There's a war for our national security. The FBI is leading the charge. By tearing down red tape and standing up a fierce defense, they're mounting an impenetrable wall against our adversaries. They've neutralized 113 active spies, and counterintelligence arrests jumped 53%. Just think about that. 53%. It means our tech stays home and our defense secrets stay locked down. But the FBI didn't stop there. They forced 62 removals of Chinese spies in 2026 alone. That historic 933% increase completely shattered Beijing's deep cover operations. And we've stopped playing games with cartels, finally targeting them as the foreign terrorists they are. This shift's led to 4,800 arrests and stopped over 850 active plotters before they could strike. Hundreds of terrible disasters stopped cold. They're also dominating the digital front, with a 77% surge in cyber indictments and 32 enterprise dismantlements. That means the hospitals your family relies on, the banks holding your savings, and the local power grids keeping your lights on are completely locked down and defended. People can argue all they want, but the numbers don't lie. With the FBI leading the charge, our country's safer than ever.
I love these. Part 3. We had part 2, remember that? And I love that music. And I love that voice. It's so good. Ultra Magadine was all over this, showing the 113 active spies from foreign countries arrested. Counterintelligence arrests have jumped 53%. He posted this, Kash Patel, at 11:21 a.m. It's kind of interesting, right? Remember, he hung out with @Q on Truth Social a while back. So 113 active spies is attached to the video showing the midnight arrests on the streets with a timestamp of 11:21. Well, interesting, it talks about 113 active spies. If you go to Q Post 113, we all know that foreign countries run our media and social platforms. It says social media platforms, top 10 shareholders of Facebook and Twitter and Reddit, mainstream media controlling stakes in NBC, MSNBC, and they control stakes in ABC, CBS, CNN, investors in Fox News. Who's that? All these questions. Why is this relevant? What is Operation Mockingbird? Well, it's the media, and they do all they can to lie to the people and propaganda and more. Is it active? Who's Cooper? What is Cooper's background? Why is this relevant? So it's his timestamp of 11:21 that gives us a big clue exactly what the FBI is doing right now. Q 11:21 says this, folks. Stand by. You ready? Actions today, raid in the target brackets, will be met with swift action. FBI burning the midnight oil. Once again, things are happening behind the scenes. You just have to know how to look for the comms. And how do we look? At the QBoard, QAGG.news. Other ways, listening to the president and vice president.
Now, I want to talk about another fraud crackdown, and this is almost hard to believe. But, we have a program called the H-1B visa program. And this goes to show how broad-based the fraud task force is we're fighting for your taxpayer money, but we're also making sure that fraudsters don't take advantage of these visa programs. Now, why does this program exist? This is a visa program that was set up to ensure that if you were a brilliant technology person or a brilliant scientist or a brilliant doctor, you could come to the United States and get access to this visa program. But you know what's happening way too much? Is that big corporations and fraudsters overseas are using this program to undercut the wages of American workers. So you know what we're doing in the Trump administration? We're saying no more. If you were trying to take advantage of that visa program, you were not allowed in to the United States of America. Today, I'm proud to announce that the Federal Department of Labor has started dozens of subpoenas and investigations into foreign fraudsters who are trying to take advantage of the H-1B visa program. Here's a simple principle. Ladies and gentlemen, American jobs ought to go to American workers and not foreign fraudsters, and the Department of Labor is fighting back against it.
It's about time. We're looking forward to more updates. Check this.
The very day after the State of the Union address, where the president makes me the leader of the anti-fraud task force, what we do is we go about the business of stopping these companies that are set up to provide durable medical equipment. This is hospital beds, oxygen tanks, things like that. Things that the American people need, and the Medicare program exists to ensure that our seniors have access to. Now, what happens, though, is that there are people setting up these programs, setting up companies that sell durable medical equipment, and they're not selling a single product, but they are billing for lots of product. Billions and billions of dollars was being billed to you, was being billed to the program that exists to ensure that our seniors have health care. And you know what that means? Number one, the fraudsters were getting rich. But number two, our seniors who desperately needed those resources, who needed the hospital beds and the oxygen tanks, they weren't getting them because the fraudsters were getting rich off the generosity of the American taxpayer. So you know what we did? We came in and we said, we are not not sanctioning a single one of these companies to defraud the American people. If you say that you're going to provide medical equipment to our seniors, we're going to confirm that you're actually delivering product before we pay a single one of those bills. And we save billions of dollars.
It's great to have updates like this. And man, some other things have been coming up lately. President Trump even looked at this and he posted this video clip. Signs and billboards are being put all over our southern border in Mexico advertising birthright citizenship.
A Texas hospital is being accused of advertising birthright tourism. It surrounds the Mission Regional Medical Center, which marketed maternity packages for foreign nationals through these billboards in Mexico. Check this out. Come over here. These ads promoted deliveries starting at nearly $4,000 for a natural birth, $5,000 for a C-section. They also directed expectant mothers to a website called HaveMyBabyInTexas.com. I don't know if you can see that right there. HaveMyBabyInTexas.com. The site has since been taken offline. Now, this hospital sits just miles from the U.S.-Mexican border. Here's the south side of the Rio Grande. This is Mexico. And here, just a few miles north, is the Mission Regional Medical Center. A total of roughly 6 miles. In that range, on the Mexican side of the border, 2 billboards at the border crossing promoting those packages. Both, again, have now been removed. Now, these billboards are pouring fuel on what is already a very heated debate, as you know. Estimates suggest up to 26,000 babies are born in the U.S. each year through birthright citizenship or birthright tourism to get birthright citizenship. A hospital spokesperson says, quote, the marketing materials regarding maternity services are no longer in use due to any unintended misunderstanding. We do not support or facilitate any unlawful activity and work to comply with all applicable federal and state laws. Now, Texas Governor Greg Abbott is ordering an investigation.
Sure he is. Anyway, I don't trust that guy, but that's just my personal opinion. And it will be by far the number one way of becoming a citizen, and then the entire family will be allowed to follow. Not sustainable. Nobody saw this coming. American citizenship is not for sale. In fact, that is a crime, and therefore the Supreme Court's ruling is wrong. I will be asking for a rehearing by the United States Supreme Court immediately. This miscarriage of justice will destroy America if they don't change their absolutely insane decision. President Trump said, thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, some of those, if you're looking at your screen, President Trump posted this. We showed you this the other day. The Gateway Kindergarten. Foreigners. Maybe they were the ones born in the country and got their citizenship, and they bring all their family members in. Who knows? But war correspondent showed this. President Trump exposed the terrifying reality. Every single girl at this school in Minnesota is fully Islamic, wearing a hijab. This is what being conquered looks like. Trump gets it. Block mass Islamic third world immigration before it's too late. I'm going to cover this more with this Islamic scholar, Mohammad Nusrait, in Chicago, laying out the plans that they have.
Unfortunately, these days we don't repeat this enough, or we don't have this aqidah concept firm in our minds that Islam did not come to coexist. Islam la yu'la.
He said Islam is always superior and should never be surpassed.
Al-Islam ya'lu wa la yu'la alayh. And Islam is raised high and nothing is raised above Islam. We can't think of Islam that it came to live with these other religions in the sense that Islam is a religion amongst those religions, and they have a share with the truth. And they have a share of justice. And they have a share of, this worship of Allah, the correct worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Islam came to correct all of that. Islam came to remove the oppression of all those religions. And it is the only truth, and it is the only way to justice.
Islam invasion. Now, very interesting, the Joe Rogan show had Rupert Lowe on it, the great Yarmouth MP, ex-Southampton FC chairman, businessman, farmer, former MEP, and leader, Restore Britain. And he was dropping all types of truth bombs. And remember, when you're on the Joe Rogan show, if you get a chance to go on, right, potential to reach millions of people that don't hear this type of information. They don't go anywhere else, but they'll listen to Joe Rogan. They won't watch the mainstream media, but they'll listen to Joe Rogan. And boy, Rupert Lowe tells Joe Rogan Sharia courts are opening in Britain.
And once we've done that, we'll then turn our attention to people who are living in Britain, to your point, who are on welfare, who are going to cost the taxpayer a fortune for the rest of their lives probably, who aren't working, who are culturally different to us, who have a different view of their religion to the Christian religion, and are increasingly living in small groups of people who haven't integrated, who are living under Sharia law and who have their own courts, and who
they have their own court.
They have their own Sharia courts. Yes, a parallel legal system.
Okay, so it's an unrecognized by the British government parallel legal system that exists inside of England.
It's tolerated.
Tolerated.
It's tolerated.
So they're aware of it.
Yes.
And they're aware of the punishments that this court dishes out?
It's rather like they're policing their own people under their own laws.
And they're just allowing that?
They're allowing that, yeah.
Whoa.
Now I believe, I don't know about you, but I believe if you come to our country, you should live under our laws.
Yeah, well,
and of course that's happening. We've been showing it in Texas and other states in our own country, and it's getting out of hand. But boy, we've got a lot more land than they do, and just cause more trouble and ways to hide it. Now listen to this.
Whoever the architects of this are, whether it's the World Economic Forum, whoever they are, whether it's the Bilderbergers, whether it's the Council on Foreign Relations, whether it's whatever malign influence is trying to do this, we have to collectively try and reverse it. So I'm saying to people, if you want, I will do my damnedest to reverse it. I've run multiple businesses. I was in the City of London for 20 years, so I know about finance, and I will commit to doing whatever I can to reverse this for the British people. But they've got to buy into it, Joe. They've got to buy into it. Detain, deport. This is the only way. Thank you.
Let's continue. The BBC is part of the problem, mainstream media.
Are there people that are in denial that this is happening? That this rape gang problem is real?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. Labour.
And what do they say?
Well, Labour just tries to look the other way.
But when confronted by the numbers, what is their response?
Well, we've been demanding a statutory inquiry, and in the end, we crowdfunded this.
Right. What is their response to that?
Well, their response to this has been pretty muted, to be frank. I mean, the BBC haven't covered it at all.
And they're talking about the rape gangs. Part of that, just to read this to you, Joe Rogan in total disgust after British politician Rupert Lowe exposed the Islamic communities responsible for the rape of 250,000 women in England. Lowe said if these women rape a white girl, it's not considered adultery because she's white. They look at them as meat to be abused, said Lowe. That's what they say. That's how they look at women outside their religion. Rogan, of course, was shocked. Muslims are freighted by a female's sexuality. They make them lick the feet of their rapists and it's about power for them. It's disgusting. Muslim men believe they are superior to anyone who doesn't accept their religion as their own. A lot of these girls got pregnant, then forced to convert to Islam. That's what they're talking about. Why won't the BBC bring this up?
Really?
A national monopolistic broadcaster paid for by a compulsory fee have not covered this as a matter of public interest, nor of Sky, nor properly of the Daily Telegraph. GB News have covered a tiny. Patrick Christie's covered one evening of it. Now, this is a massive national scandal that deserves a complete and utter airing.
How does the BBC justify not discussing this?
Well, the BBC is part of our problem, Joe. So to your point about, the Democrats, the BBC is a deeply malign organization. So it was set up to inform, educate, and entertain. And it was set up by a man called Reith. And Reith was a highly principled man. And I think at the time it was set up in the 20s, it probably did have a role. But in the digital age, where most of the young people no longer watch their news on the BBC, they get their news from whatever their favorite news channel is, whether it's Breitbart, whoever they go and get it from, they get it from somewhere else. But if you want to watch sport, or you want to, basically have your TV, you have to pay the TV license.
He goes a step further. Can't believe what he's hearing, Joe Rogan. He reveals arriving immigrants get pushed to the top of the list for dental and health care.
But our woke culture is not protecting the interests of the British people.
And it's also a massive incentive. If you live in a terribly poor country and you can just get to England and then instantaneously you will get money and housing.
That's right.
Why would you not do that?
Well, not only that, you go to the top of the waiting list for dental treatment, which British people don't get. The NHS,
What?
you go to the top of the waiting list.
Wait a minute. They get access to dental treatment that the British people don't get?
Correct.
Why? Why do immigrants get access to it?
Well, this, Joe, is the mystery of what our leaders, I don't know what they think they're doing, but they have this misguided view that these people are actually, they call them asylum seekers. They say they need to be looked after and protected. They're not. They're economic migrants. And to your point, if they know there's welfare when they reach Britain, they'll travel across multiple safe countries to get to the welfare, the free housing,
yeah, of course,
and all the other stuff.
It's all playing into the politicians, liberal left freaks out there. Amy Meck always keeps us updated on this alert Islamization of Red State, Arkansas. Taxpayer-funded Muslim Brotherhood operation is building a massive 10-acre Sharia campus in Little Rock, deliberately creating a separate Islamic society. As she's documented across the country, this is the Muslim Brotherhood's civilization jihad strategy in action, building parallel Sharia societies that reject assimilation and create self-contained enclaves from cradle to grave, all subsidized by American taxpayers. Little Rock is now a frontline example. While hardworking in Arkansas helped foot the bill, the Islamic Center of Little Rock, ICLR, and its Huda Academy, Arkansas's only full-time Islamic school, they're constructing a sprawling new 10-acre West Little Rock campus. It includes a much larger school, expanding to high school, full mosque, banquet hall, gym, athletic fields, and more. Construction is already underway. They paid $1.3 million in cash for the land, have millions banked, plus interest-free Sharia loans. It's not innocent growth. It's strategic institution building so future generations can live, learn, and raise their own children with zero need to assimilate into America. Taxpayers are funding it. In 2024-25 alone, 39 students, 16% of enrollment received Arkansas Learns vouchers, routing roughly $267,000 in public money straight to the school. So open the floodgates once fully operational. Will pull in large numbers of Muslim families from failing blue states and accelerate the Islamization of a red state. Has Muslim Brotherhood ties. Leadership is sick. Egyptian native Sheikh Ahmad Fidel, who earned his bachelor's, master's, PhD from Al-Azhar University in Cairo. He is the Vatican of Sunni Islam, the oldest, most prestigious, and most authoritative center of Sunni doctrine in the world. They train imams globally. No assimilation agenda. They get political cover, and you're looking at it on your screen. The full report comes from Amy Meck, and she shows you what they plan on building. You can see that. Pretty sick, folks. That's what we're dealing with in our own country. Now, let's go back to the positive with the Trump accounts.
On the other hand, the President of the United States says just the opposite. Why don't we give everybody an individual private account that they own and control? They can have the dignity of their own savings. They can improve their own lot in life. Moms and dads and companies, churches and schools, all these people can contribute to these accounts. And if you start with $1,000 and it's matched at birth and you save just $50 a month, $10 a week, it's $50,000 at age 18, $200,000 at age 30, and it's $1 million at age 55. This is the difference between the president's idea for America, which is empowering individuals, and Mandami and Bernie's idea for America, which is more control, more centralized control from government, more dependency on government, which we reject.
You can take care of yourself, take care of your children. Invest in them, and they all have to do is put in $10 a week, and if they wait till they're 55, they'll have $1 million. It's not rocket science.
Of American jobs, this will increase. We have the highest number of jobs right now. We have the most people working in the United States that we've ever had in the history of our country. We have the biggest investment ever made, $19.2 trillion. That's 6 times more than we've ever had. Think of it, 6 times. And what did that were tariffs. Without the tariffs, I think we would have done fine, like at about 2 or 3. The last administration had much less than 1 trillion invested for 4 years. We have 19.2 trillion invested in 1 year. We haven't gone into the extra almost a half a year, 1.5 years. Those numbers won't come out for a little while. So we have 19.2 trillion, not billion, not million, trillion with a T, invested in plants and equipment that's being built all over the country.
Now, you'd think that the United States would be so excited about that, and the American citizens would wake up and say, man, what a great time to be here, and President Trump is helping us so much. Well, one young lady was excited to get her passport, her U.S. passport, and she's showing it. She's about to open it, and look how excited she is.
I just picked it up from the office.
Just picked up her passport. Look at that face. She is rolling her eyes. She's upset. And she's biting her lips because she's going to show you, voila, there's President Trump and his signature on the American passport.
10 years.
Oh, man.
Of this man on my passport.
10 years these woke tardians realize they'll have to carry a picture of President Trump.
Last page. They really did this. They really did this. They really did this.
They really did this. You know what's sad is then you go to the World Cup and you see people that would probably love to have that U.S. passport now after they've visited our country.
Don't let anyone tell you that we as a planet, as a people, can never have global solidarity. The World Cup is proving otherwise. That the one thing that 93% of people on this planet can agree on is that we hate the United States of America. Let this be a sign to the world that no matter where you're from, what your background is, we all have at least one thing in common. And that is a deep dislike of the United States of America.
Like I said previously, I apologise on the UK's behalf. We done you guys wrong. We done you dirty. The UK, the media, the outlets, they're not telling the truth. They must be showing us crazy stuff in the UK. But I love this place. This place is amazing. The atmosphere, the people, the food. Just God bless America. And it's the land of the free. Can you believe it?
Americans, I need to apologise to you. Before I came to this country, I believed everything negative I saw in the news.
I've got to say, if I'm honest, we owe the USA an apology. I want to say we, I mean the UK, Europe, all of us. Everyone's been throwing all these stereotypes for so many years and it's so untrue. The World Cup has shown how welcoming and how amazing the American people are. Hats off to the USA.
We owe America a huge apology because America is nothing like what the media tells us.
America, you've given me one of the greatest moments in my life. This is the best World Cup of all.
My brother, you can say that loud. Say that loud. Hi, yours is in the field. Mine is with the food. Ha! Yeah. Mine is with the food. Oh, I can't resist. I've had the best moment of my life, as you're saying. But it's with the food. Their food is something else. America for president of all countries in the world. Because this is absolutely unimaginable. This best of the best. Thank you, America.
Thank you, America. Oh, it's so good to see. So good to see. You know, Dan Scavino posted this. Here comes the boom. Here comes the boom. And there's President Trump going in to the old Air Force One. And he's standing at the door. Interesting because Bandlershika said, guess what, folks? This really has the Truman Show comms. Right? Question mark? The end. Looks just like, you know, when you had that Truman Show where the actor walks up and he realizes that the Earth is not what he thought it was and he was in a show, and then he opens the door and he walks through. It looks like President Trump's going through that door too. Between this last strange airplane swap, remember this, switching the planes, and the photo of President Trump exiting the video clip through the blue plane entrance door, just like the exit in the last scene of the Truman Show. I'm thinking we're being told we are in the last scene of our movie. Boom. Here comes the boom, ready or not. Here comes the boys from the South. Boom. Here comes the boom, ready or not. How you like me now?
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest,
neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you again, and we thank you for continually taking care of us in our country and watching over with these leaders and the military that are destroying the deep state and the evil ones one day at a time. We continue to request that many would have their eyes open to what's been happening all around them, and they'd wake up, see how close we came to destruction of this entire earth by them being led by Satan. We ask that you continue to protect our president and those that are on the front lines, those that are defending our nation and more against these evil beings on this earth. We ask that you continue to provide us each day our sustenance so that we can eat and we can move about. And we ask that you continue to guide us in our own mind and intellect and more on what we should do, how should we behave, and how should we talk to others moving forward. We certainly thank you in the name of Jesus Christ, in whose name we pray. Amen and amen. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you have a great remainder of your day. We're looking forward to more amazing updates. Please hit that follow and like button if you will. We certainly appreciate it. For now, it's LT Semper Fi with them we know. Signing out.
Don't forget, what we did should have been done 47 years ago. It could have been done any time within 40. This has gone on for, they were the bully of the Middle East. So they're a much different country. Now, in one day, all of their anti-aircraft things are gone. That doesn't mean they're not going to get a plane at some point. But all of it's gone. Everything's gone. Their leaders are gone. They had leaders, they're gone. And they had another set of leaders, they're gone. Now they have another set of leaders, they may be gone. Who knows? And you know what? I may be gone too, because I'm their number one target. I think more than anything else is I got to know them. And I'm not sure I want to make a deal with them. We can play games, but I'm not sure I want to make a deal. I just finished the job.
This rape bang problem is real.